Gravity. My two favorite movies from last year were Argo and Life of Pi, both of which were nominated for Best Picture. Argo being the eventual winner, and Life of Pi being the winningest film at the Oscars, taking home 4. Life of Pi was a visual masterpiece about a grueling fight for survival, which was also an allegorical religious journey. Argo's strength was in its ability to build unrelenting tension, and it also showed how far people were willing to go in order to save the lives of others. Wrap up the good things about Argo and Life of Pi into one film, and you have Gravity. Dr. Ryan Stone, played by Sandra Bullock, is a medical engineer on her very first mission into space, and Matt Kowalski, played by George Clooney, is a veteran astronaut on his last mission. While on a spacewalk to repair the Hubble telescope, their fictional shuttle Explorer is hit by a cloud of debris from an exploded Russian satellite. The next 80 minutes are simply a struggle for the pair to make it home. If that story sounds simple, that's because it is. However, the pacing is so impeccable, you have to appreciate the story structure. Writer Alan Palmer has a great analogy. Story structure is like an archer drawing back his bow, slowly building tension and then releasing it in one fell swoop. The tension builds more and more in the story, just like the archer draws his bow back tighter and tighter, almost to the breaking point, until the tension is released in an emotional climax, like the climactic firing of an arrow. The greater the build, the more significant the release. Gravity is a great example of this because the rookie astronaut Dr. Stone faces challenge after challenge after challenge in order to stay alive. There will be a resounding build of tension as a threat presents itself, then a slight release as she overcomes said obstacle or threat. But the tension is never fully released because there's always something else that goes wrong for her. So while the story is admittedly simple, there is this structure of build, release, build, release, build, release. And the tension is continuously building more and more. The bow is being drawn back tighter and tighter throughout the entire runtime. While the structure successfully draws you into a fairly basic plot, the real strength of the film, what everyone is talking about, is the visuals. Alfonso Cuarón's previous work, the criminally underrated Children of Men, included several complicated, exceedingly impressive long takes. They involved car crashes, explosions, people being shot, and lots of moving parts. To be able to pull off these action sequences when the shot in question is 6+ minutes long without a cut is nothing short of masterful. In Gravity, the opening shot of the movie, which begins with the Explorer shuttle drifting lazily into the frame and ends with Dr. Stone spiraling uncontrollably into space, in a visual homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey, is a mesmerizing 12-minute long take. With the interspersed CG, it's possible this sequence wasn't actually shot in one take, but regardless, it's still a continuous visual without a cut. And the fact that the camera is dynamically floating around the shuttle, and astronauts are floating in and out of the shot, and debris eventually crashes into everything, makes this shot all the more complicated and impressive. The movie is full of impressively complex shots like this, but, as we've learned in recent years, dazzling visuals cannot just stand alone, and are best utilized when they contribute to the story somehow. In this case, they help put the audience in the position of the characters. The camera is like a third astronaut in the crew. The audience experiences the disorienting effects of spinning through space from the point of view shots of Dr. Stone. The audience feels how jarring it is when an astronaut is gently floating towards the camera and then is jerked away by a harness attaching them to another astronaut. Establishing connections to the characters through camera work is important in this movie because the characters aren't really given a whole lot of time to develop. They're not undeveloped per se, but I would describe them as just enough. The characters are developed just enough to establish emotional connections to them. However, even though these characters are not particularly unique, I found myself heavily invested in them emotionally, and I was surprisingly moved by several scenes. These characters may seem familiar, but they can sneak up on you. And I praise both the performances of the leads and also the concise but effectively written dialogue between them. Films like Gravity are a rare treat. It's been a long time since I've had my mouth open in awe of the marvels on the screen in front of me, and in the same movie been as emotionally invested in the character's fate as I was here. Because the beautiful truth is, regardless of how developed the characters are, you care about them and want them to make it home, because they're people just like you.